Boo. Did I get you? Did I get you? Happy Halloween, guys. Happy Halloween. Anyway, we are going to be jumping back into Big Brother today, and I'm super excited. It's Halloween today. I'm filming this a little bit late. Sorry, guys. I'm struggling to keep it up with all of it, but you know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best. Anyway, thank you, guys. Let's get in. We got nominations to talk about, and we've also got some other boring stuff to talk about as well. So, nominations. Let's start with Cameron. Cameron voted for Caroline and Nancy. Caroline because she didn't buy Richard any crisps, which is fair and valid at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not one to judge, but I don't think crisps would probably make me nominate anybody. And then with Nancy, she lied about the save and replace when she came back from the thing. Obviously, she knew that Caroline was getting it, and I just don't think he appreciates liars, which is absolutely fair and valid if you ask me. Caroline was up next, and she voted for Richard and for Tasia. Richard because he's boring and because he runs from controversy. I do actually agree partially with what she's saying. I do not find him interesting at all. I think he has interesting moments, but as a person, I don't see anything from him that makes me go, oh yeah, I really want to keep him in the house if he's up for eviction. Do you know what I mean? The only reason why people would is to spite Caroline, and I don't know whether that's a good enough reason to keep somebody boring in the house. Do you know what I mean? And as for Tasia, apparently Caroline got told by Sam that Tasia had told Nancy and asked her why she was friends with Caroline or something like that. I don't really understand this one. I feel like she voted for Tasia because she said to Nancy, I don't understand why you're friends with Caroline. Like, I feel like it's just a little bit of a petty reason. But then again, Caroline is petty, so what am I talking about? Do you know what I mean? Elsa voted for Cameron and for Richard. Cameron because she feels like he is quite sneaky and jumps between different conversations and then relays that conversation back to other groups, which is something that I haven't noticed, but they have pointed out, and I've been like, I don't think this is a thing. I think if anybody's doing that, it's potentially like, I don't know, Sam maybe, or Zila. I don't know. I don't feel like Cameron is the one doing that. But anyway, Richard, the reason she voted for Richard is because she just has no convo or chat with him. There's no vibe between them. Like, they just don't have anything in common, and they don't have anything to talk about, which again, absolutely fair and valid. Up next, we had Emily voting for Tasia and for Jenny. Tasia because they still don't really they don't really feel welcome in the house. Like, Emily doesn't really feel welcome by Tasia, and I think that is probably down to the fact that you came in and started spouting your opinions immediately, which probably would get her back up, I can't lie. But also, I feel like the reason she voted for Jenny is because this was a really baffling one, and I think this was probably the weirdest one out of the entire house. Was Jenny has juxtaposing opinions on Farage, and I was like, what? She's like, you don't like his politics, but you liked him in the jungle. And I was like, okay, you can not like someone's politics, but still find them entertaining, which is how I feel about Caroline. I don't like her politics, but I find her entertaining on the show. Is she evil? Yes, but I also think that she's playing it up. I think she's realised that she's fucked up with the whole Zila thing, and I think that she's now just committed to being the villain of the series. And people are too desperate to get her out rather than just letting her play with this storyline and give us something to talk about. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if she wasn't in there. Be happy clappy all the time, wouldn't it? Farida was up next, and Farida voted for Tate and for Richard. Tate because they still just don't know each other very well, and Richard because he's boring and he kind of puts his shutters down. He doesn't really engage in conversation past a certain hour. He doesn't really sort of like talk like very interesting topics sometimes, and there's just no connection between him and Farida, sadly. Jenny was up next, and Jenny voted for Emily and for Elsa. Emily because she made comments about people who have left the show, that were not very nice. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. We haven't seen that, so can't personally comment on that. And then with Elsa, the whole demon thing completely freaked her out, which, you know what, absolutely fair and valid. I'm surprised that Elsa didn't vote for Jenny for that reason, but you know what, I'm kind of grateful because Jenny did not need any more votes, guys. She didn't need any more votes. So Jenny voted for those two, and I got to agree with her. I think that they're fair nominations. Marcus nominated Farida and Emily. Farida because she apparently called Elsa and Marcus delusional at some point, which I don't disagree with. Let's just put it that way. And then with Emily, it's because she came into the house saying that the narrative is that the house feels boring, but now they feel like the fun is being forced. And I was like, okay, right, I get ya, but sure? Question mark? Don't really know what to say to that, do you know what I mean? Nancy was up next, and Nancy voted for Richard and for Farida. Richard because she feels like Richard is far too detailed in his approach to things. He can be a bit analytical. He can sort of not really care about emotions, but more care about the right thing to do. And he grasses as well and sort of gets them in trouble, which again can be a little bit of a nightmare if you want to live with someone like that. But I don't think Richard is necessarily doing that in a nasty way. I think there is an element of gameplay to him, but I think we'll talk about this more when Sam's nominations come up. With Farida, it's because she's a germaphobe, and well, Nancy's a germaphobe, and apparently Farida was like shaving her foot on the sofa and accidentally left the shavings there, and then Nancy sat in them and it freaked her out. And Farida was like, it's because I've got eczema. And I was like, yeah, I know you got eczema, bestie, but like that doesn't mean that you can just shave your foot in public places. Do you know what I mean? Go out in the garden, go in the bathroom, one of the two places. Don't do it on the sofa in the living room. Do you know what I mean? Richard was up next, and Richard voted for Caroline and for Rita. I mean, I could have told you this from a mile off. Do you know what I mean? Caroline because he believes that if she eases up, then she will be a nice person. And I was like, what? I feel like you've got a lot more reason to nominate her than just, I think you could be a nice person if you just relax a little bit. I think there was more to it, but that's what I noted down because I was like, that seems like the main reason here. And this is why I think, like, to an extent, Richard is playing a game, because I don't believe this is genuinely how he feels about Caroline. And everybody's claiming that he's getting bullied, but he's not once really said anything about it that we've seen, or I'm aware of. Do you know what I mean? I might have missed it, who knows? But he's not the one addressing it with people. It's other people addressing it on his behalf, which again is what Caroline was saying a couple of days ago. And I hate to agree with Caroline, but people need to stop having conversations on behalf of other people. If other people genuinely have a problem, they need to address it themselves rather than sit there and be lectured by Zila for the 100th time because I've hurt someone's feelings. If I've hurt someone's feelings, come to me and tell me why you've hurt my feelings. Don't get somebody else to do it for you, or don't do it on behalf of somebody else. Oh, and then with Farida, it's because he's sleep deprived. She comes in late, she talks loud in the bedroom when lights are out, and then she snores. Which is fair, to be honest. Absolutely fair and valid. With Sam is playing with, Sam has nominated Tate and Richard. Tate because of the tuna tomato soup, and I know he used that as like a sort of comedy like cover, but he's done this before. Do you remember when he said that Marcus was too attractive? That was because it makes him feel uncomfortable to be around him. That was the real reason, but the cover was that he's too attractive. The cover was your tuna tomato soup sucks, but really it's because you're a kitchen dictator. And that's what he said. He starts with the comedy bit and then he goes into the explanation afterwards. With Richard, it's because he's a game player. And again, like I said, I do believe there is an element of gameplay to Richard. And a lot of people are calling out Caroline for playing the game, but calling out Richard for playing the game. And I'm like, yeah, but Caroline, Nancy and Sam, they've been up for nomination, Sam and Nancy that is, a couple of times now. I think Sam's been up once, he's been evicted, he's gone into the secret room. So he's now playing the game. He's realised where everybody lies. He's now forced to play the game. Do you know what I mean? He can't just go back to living how he used to. Nancy, she's been up for nominations twice. Of course she's going to play the game, and I think she's quite open about playing the game as well. Caroline, again, very open about playing the game. Richard, if he is a game player, people are calling him out because he's not being honest about being a game player, and they feel like he is. And there's all this talk about how, oh, Caroline gave him the evil eye and he complained about not having a bed. You could have passed that on to somebody else. You chose to take that. You chose not to spend your own balls because you're playing a game. You did it in order to win back the favour of the house, even though you took like 30 balls to begin with that weren't yours. I think he took 30 instead of 50. He was going to take... No, he was going to take the whole lot, and then I think he just took 50, didn't he? So he is playing the game. Have we forgotten about this? Like, come on, guys. I feel like we're all being blinded by the fact that Caroline is being mean to him, rather than the fact that Richard actually is playing the game, and Caroline's clocked him for it. Tate's vote was for Sam and Jenny. Sam because he added time on to the plane task, and Jenny was the exact same reason. They both added time onto the plane task, which ultimately ended up with them losing it. So you gotta rate him for voting them for that, you know what I mean? Tasia voted for Farida and Tate. Farida because the whole influenced by peers comment just rubbed her up the wrong way, and with Tate, she just knows him the least, so there isn't that common ground between them, so fair and valid. And then last but not least, Zila voted for Farida and for Nancy. Farida because sometimes she makes insensitive comments, and with Nancy, he feels like her default setting is anger, which I was like, okay. I think she's fiery. I don't think she's angry. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that she just jumps to angry all the time. Do you know what I mean? But hey, I'm not living with her. I can't make that decision. So by the end of nominations, the people up for eviction were Farida, Richard and Tate. But then, for some god-awful reason, I really thought Caroline was going to say Farida and put up Zila. But she took Tate down and put up Zila. So now we're in a situation where it's a double eviction. Richard's going to get saved. And Zila and Farida are going home, which I think is wholly unfair on Farida, personally. Zila, I'm ready for him to go. I honestly love him to pieces. Think he's an incredible housemate. But I am sick of the constantly butting into other people's, like, issues and trying to resolve them. That is starting to rub me up the wrong way. And is something that I would be incredibly frustrated with if I was either the person who'd done something wrong or the person who had something done wrong to them. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't need you to fight my battles. Richard is a 60-year-old man. Okay, Farida is a 50-year-old woman. Do you know what I mean? We are able to speak our mind without you going into a situation and trying to diffuse it. And that's why I feel it. But I gotta say, Caroline is playing the game. Caroline's playing the game perfectly. And she's very open about playing the game. She literally nominated Zila because she thinks that the public will save him. I think the public will save you, so I'm putting you up there, and you are going to win this this eviction. Obviously, she's wrong, and Zila will go home because he's up against Richard. So it's just a tough one, really. It's a real tough one. But I think Caroline's being very open about playing the game, which means that she can call other people out for being game players when they're not being honest about it. Do you know what I mean? At this point, they might as well just keep the punishments coming, because there was 2 punishments over these 2 episodes. The first one was the punishment for the pizza party. No hot water, no appliances, food purchased from the mini mart had to be returned. But Cameron and Richard, who abstained from the whole pizza party fiasco, they got a slap-up lunch. They got treated to food. And I was thinking, bloody hell, maybe it does pay to behave in the Big Brother house, because they got to go and have a lovely lunch. So I thought, you know what, fair and valid. They are meant to be on basic rations, though. That's what I'm happy about. That's what I'm happy about, but it's okay. It's okay. More on that later. Anyway, the next one. Next day, still no hot water, no appliances, no hot tub. I was like, okay, cool. They're really making them work for this. And then Sam broke a rule. And I was sitting there going, Sam, bloody hell, mate. Bloody hell. What are we doing here? Actually, what are we doing here? What do you mean you've got a secret flask of honey that you're putting into your porridge? Did you not learn anything from Zila? Did you not learn anything from that situation? Really? Did you not think you'd get caught? And then he's getting Caroline to, like, help him cover it up. And then he did it again later on in the episode. And then when he's called out, Big Brother's like, you've got yourself in a very sticky situation. Now, a lot of people are like, put him up for eviction. You got to put him up. You got to be harsher. I think food-based rule breaks deserve food-based punishments. Nominations-based rule breaks deserve nomination-based punishments, okay? We can't be mixing and matching. So personally, the whole food being taken away from the pizza party, Zila having his ham in jam jars and losing all the eyes, fair and valid. And then Sam was having to rub honey all over his body and had to keep the honey on his face, in his hair, on his body for as long as Big Brother said he could. And I was like, that is a horrific punishment. I don't think anybody would want honey rubbed in their hair, rubbed on their face, and then have to sit in it for hours. Nobody would want to do that. I'd rather you put me up for eviction. Do you know what I mean? I would much rather that at the end of the day. Send me out the house. Do you know what I mean? Do your worst. I physically couldn't sit there with honey all over my body. So I think there's an element of people thinking that it's not harsh, but I think rubbing honey all over yourself and literally being sticky for the next 5 hours is such a sensory overload that I would not enjoy that in the slightest. And then he had to wash himself off in the sink because there's no hot water. And then as soon as he'd finished, hot water was turned back on. Excellent. Actually, you could not have timed it any better. So Farida had a secret mission in this episode, and it was just a little bit of light-hearted humour. I really enjoyed myself watching it. I found it was actually quite an entertaining watch. I think the jobs were not as outlandish as I thought they were going to be. They were quite tame, and she had to go round and convince people that in a previous job she'd had a job as a zookeeper or this or that. She went round, the jobs were mime artist. I think she managed to convince Nancy and Sam of that. Zookeeper, she managed to convince Tasia that she used to work with the monkeys. And then hand model was with Jenny. Martial art instructor was funny. Just watching her in the bed, in the bathroom with Elsa, and then Elsa just walked out or went in the toilet, and she was just like, shh, I remember it all. And then Big Brother was like, Bestie, you do not have to do it anymore. She's not here anymore. You don't have to convince yourself. And then the last one was Lollipop Lady, and she managed to convince Emily. It was so funny to watch everyone's reactions being like, yeah, you know what? Fair enough. That is just Farida at the end of the day, innit? That is just Farida. And I think that is so funny and so entertaining. So, you know what? Fair game, Farida. You very much entertained me there. Aside from that, I don't really have a great deal else to talk about. I mean, listen, there's a lot of discussion in the house about Elsa and whether she is a delusional person or not. She believes dragons are real, and she believes that gold was found in caves that dragons guarded. And I was like, this woman's just seen The Hobbit, hasn't she? She's literally just seen the Desolation of Smaug, or whatever it's called, the second one, and has been like, oh my god, that makes sense, that's where all the gold comes from in the world. I mean, pair that with the whole sort of like demons and ghost saga, and I'm sort of like, come on, this is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, aside from that, the only other really funny moment was tricking Cameron into spinning around and then running and then falling over, and Caroline and Jenny pissing themselves laughing. Genuinely so unbelievably funny. But that is pretty much it for the episode. I don't really have anything else to talk about. Big Brother, you're losing me this series. You're losing me, and I hate to say it, but you are. And I think it's because there's still too many people in the house, and I feel like we paced this season so wrong. We did not need those 2 extra people to come into the house. We didn't need... I mean, the fake eviction was good, but I almost feel like it should have been 2 people got evicted, and then they go into a secret room, and then they come back, rather than having 2 outside people come in and then actually come into the house. I feel like that was unnecessary. If we want Farida back, we want Farida back from the start. We don't want her back 3 weeks in when the house dynamics have already settled, and then she can't really fit into the house dynamics, do you know what I mean? But anyway, it is what it is. That is all we've got time for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff that you guys do so unbelievably well. And I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. But until then, make sure to keep on ranting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now. See ya.